My like little intro. Can you hear it? You can't hear it, can you?
Powered by Riverside.
You can? Nice. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Happy Thursday to all my listeners. This is JT Unfiltered. I'm New York City real estate. Well, I'm Jonathan Tager. God, I forgot my name. How important, but it's written on the screen if you're watching on Spotify. But my name is Jonathan Tager. I'm a New York City real estate agent. And today I have a very special guest. And it's great because today, we are really going to get into real estate. And I should be doing that all the time. But you know me, I love talking about anything and everything. So today, let me welcome our only guest today is Rob Brown, or it's Bob Brown. I'm sorry, but it's RK Bob Brown. But we're going to get into exactly why it's RK Bob Brown. But let's welcome Bob Brown to the show. Bob, thanks for coming. Welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and say exactly what you do, but you do a lot of different things, and most of them are related to real estate. So let's just start, and correct me where I'm wrong, okay? But from what I know, foundation specialist, is that a fair title? Foundation specialist, author of several books and working on one now. We'll get into that. What else do we got? We've got investor, and we've got landlord, and what else? What am I missing?
Well, I owned and patented several inventions over the years. I think I've got about 8 in various stages. And
when you say several inventions, what's your biggest invention?
Well, I mean, none of them are huge yet.
Hey, you know what? I haven't invented anything.
Repair world. So when I was in the foundation repair business, I was always looking for a better mousetrap, better way to solve problems. So there are things that relate to stem wall deterioration, mitigating expansive clay heave under a foundation.
Sorry. Before we get all geeked out, right? I say geeked out, right? Before we start really rolling our sleeves up with foundations, what exactly is a foundation specialist? I mean, let's just start there, right? Because, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've worked 25 years in real estate, most of it in New York City, some of it in California. In California, I'm sure there were reasons, but I wasn't there long enough. But what exactly is a foundation specialist? Let's just start there.
Well, I mean, that's a rather nebulous term, but, I mean, it all has to do with soil. And there are lots of titles of people who claim to be, foundation experts, foundation specialists.
Well, how do you even get into that? Let's start did you get into that at a young age in your 20s? You sort of, were interested in foundations and in soil and all that stuff. Walk me through. So you went to college. What did you study in college?
I graduated from Arizona State University in finance and architecture. I got two bachelor's degrees.
Got it.
And while I was in college, I basically worked my way through doing concrete repairs because it's construction's in the family, and so I understand concrete.
Your father or your family sort of taught you that? Okay.
Brother-in-laws, all that stuff, yeah.
Okay.
And so, I did concrete repair and masonry repair for a lot of years, but frankly, I got bored with it. And I was always looking for, unique positioning for myself and my talents. And I knew I had, maybe a little more education than the average concrete repair guy, right?
Yeah.
So I stumbled across a provider by the name of Ramjack who basically asked me to be their installer for the Arizona area. And I learned the business from them like everybody else. That's what they do. When you become a foundation repair contractor, you learn the business from your supplier, which is what I did.
What's the number one? So as a foundation repair I don't know what the correct title would be, but that first job where you repaired people's foundations, what's the most common, most typical thing you see?
Well, first of all, it depends where you're at, because there's
Okay.
different problems in different areas, right? And, and what we're talking about is basically soil problems. Uh, the foundation type and the quality makes a little bit of difference, but most of the issues are soil related.
When
So
you say it's soil related, because you can't really, what do you do to the soil to fix it, right? So it's like it's soil related because the foundation is moving in the soil.
yeah,
That's what it is, right?
right. Yeah,
Okay.
so most people think of it as your foundation sinking, and it needs to be, you drive piles deep in the ground, maybe 20, 30, 50 feet, until you reach hard rock, and then you use those for like stilts to crank the house back up and re-level it and stabilize it. That's what most people think of when it comes to this business. But there's also a dynamic that people don't think of, and it's more prominent in arid climates like the Southwest, and that is you have a dry area with expansive clays that are super dry and super contracted. And then you put a house on top of it, they get wet and they start to swell and they push the house up, and they can cause just as much or even more damage than settlement. And it's a totally different fix, totally different problem. And that's one of the issues with foundation repair companies, is they totally ignore this, or they pretend to ignore it, or they pretend that they don't know what it is or whatever. They don't address it. And so half the solutions are solutions that don't work because it's addressing the wrong problem.
So now, so I'm just curious, like the first, well, not the first, but how do you know, number one, something's wrong with your foundation? I mean, how do you even know? So if you have a house, let's say most typically it's a house, right? If you're living in that house, I mean, what's the first sign something's wrong with your foundation?
Well, you're going to typically start noticing cracks in your walls. That's probably the first thing. You're going to see doors and windows out of square. You'll see cracks in your floors. You might see cracks on the outside walls. You might see cupping, which is a weird
So like
thing.
how many cracks before you're like, I should call somebody?
There's probably no way to quantify it, but certainly one is not enough. But you want to see a pattern, and that's
Okay.
what you look for, is patterns of distress. And
Okay.
then, so I'll just tell you the typical scenario is people see these cracks and they Google, cracks in my walls, what is that? What do I do about it? And up comes the foundation repair companies, because they're very into marketing, and they spend a lot of money, and so they're going to pop up in your search.
Yep.
And that's not the right guys, unfortunately,
So
because
you don't want to call them.
no, because what they're going to do is they're going to send out 100% commission salesmen without any kind of engineering background whatsoever. Their education consists of a 3-day seminar put on by the supplier,
Yeah.
and their job is to just sell as much as they possibly can, whether you need it or not.
Got it.
And so that's a problem. That's problematic.
Yeah.
Of course, it's free. So, like, you're thinking, well, free, or you
Well,
could,
it's not free. I guess it's free to have them
right,
come over.
You're going to pay for it many times over. That's right. Now, what do you do instead, right? So, really, the experts in this area are what I call geotechnical engineers, and I like forensic geotechnical engineers.
Are you one of those? I can't repeat it.
No, I'm not, but I did.
Yeah.
But I owned a company that I employed lots of them at one point, so I understand how the profession works really well.
Yep. Got it.
And so these guys, you got to spend 5 years in college and a 3-year internship, 2 very difficult tests, and you got to
Yeah.
learn the foundation repair business on top of it, because they don't teach that in college. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a
Big deal.
hard search. They're hard to find. They
Yeah.
don't advertise very much, and they're not free. But let me just ask you a question. If you were really sick, and you didn't know what the problem was, would you go for free to a pharmaceutical rep, or would you pay money to go to a doctor?
You're talking to someone who had an aortic dissection at 29 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take the doctor every
Yeah,
day, every day of
absolutely.
the week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, essentially, that's what that is. So you're saying, okay, you're at home, wherever it might be, and you see a few cracks, and they tend to be like in the middle of the room or something, or I don't know. You see
Off the
something.
corners of windows and doors usually. Sometimes they'll go right down the middle of the wall. And, you know,
So something like that, you call. Well. So what should I Google? So what do I?
I would Google a forensic geotechnical engineer. That's what I would Google.
I can't even repeat
You
it, and
can actually
you
go to
told me
my
twice.
website, foundationrepairsecrets.com, and I have a free directory for anybody that's by state. You can look up your state, and you know, I haven't vetted everybody on that list, but I've vetted about half of them, and you know, it's better than nothing.
So now let me ask you a question. So okay, so you're based in Arizona, right? So I get it. So it's like totally different climate over there, very dry, and I could see you don't have earthquakes where you are, right? Not really, right?
Don't have a what?
There's no earthquakes where you are, right? Not
No,
really.
it's pretty low seismic. You know,
Yeah.
California
So
gets
that's
quite a bit.
not really an issue. Do earthquakes pose different issue? I would imagine they do,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to present challenges for sure.
Yeah. So but most of the business where you are is what, for bigger buildings, like for bigger either commercial buildings of some sort, or is it for single family houses? Would you say is more common?
For foundation repair? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I did both. Uh, I had I worked on an Amazon building, $6 million, 3 years of work, uh, but I did a lot of residential.
So like when you say you worked on on an Amazon bill, it was a fulfillment center, I guess. So and what was wrong? Where were the issues
It
at
was
the
built on
fulfillment?
top of a landfill. That was part of the problem.
So that was a problem. So
Yeah.
you can't. So like you don't have to get too specific, or you can if you're allowed to. But like, what exactly was their problem, and how did you fix it? You said this is what you need to do, and then it's not a problem anymore.
Well, yeah, we utilized a lot of engineering help. It was a tricky job, and it was a really heavy building. But basically, the fill was settling over time. Building had settled about 15 and a half inches in one corner, and
So
we
it was
basically,
uneven. So like that. So it was like that. Yeah.
yeah. So we basically used hydraulically driven piles, and
Concrete building. What was the building made of?
it was a concrete tilt-up building.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we used pressure grouting in addition to the piles. And so those are, there was a lot of them because it was a big area. It was a big building.
I mean, it couldn't have been cheap to fix something like that. Like, how much does it cost to fix that?
It was about $6 million.
6 million.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So, I mean, that's just wild to me. So, what would you say? So, I'm in New York City, right? So, let's try to so it's a little different, obviously, because, we're not really dealing with single family homes and so forth, but we're dealing with homes that were built, a lot of them, turn of the century. Uh, so what would you say is the most common thing someone in New York should be looking for? And a lot of us are living in apartments too. So some of those buildings might be, those are newer buildings most likely. But, a lot of these homes are older buildings and they're attached. So what kind of problems or different issues do you think New York City dwellers might face?
Well, you probably don't have as much clay and you probably don't have arid climate. So you may have, and soil is really complicated, by the way. One of the myths of the foundation world is that, the soil is just brown mass of, homogeneous, material. It's not. It's got lots of layers with different densities and different affinities to water and different mineral contents and lots of things going on all at the same time. And the layers aren't exactly even. They do all kinds of things, and then there's rocks in there. So there's a lot of things going on. And that's why you need geotechnical engineers to understand it. because they know how the geology was laid down, over the last few million years. They understand, they do borings in it all the time. They understand the layers. They test the different layers for different properties and characteristics. So they understand it, and that's what you really need. And in New York City, you're probably going to get the same thing that most people get around the country that's not in an arid condition, and that is probably some settlement. You get a lot of basements there, so you might be more of a basement leaking problem, which we don't have any basements out here, or at least not very many. So there's a different set of challenges. But here's the thing that I want to stress to you is that the foundation repair industry is completely unregulated. I teach a disclosure course for credit renewals for real estate agents here in Arizona. And I'm struck by how much regulation there is in the real estate industry. There's a lot. In the foundation repair industry, none.
Anyone, you don't need a license of any
you need
kind?
A contractor's license. But
Yeah.
the contractors boards don't protect homeowners, and I'll tell you why. Because the only thing the contractor boards do is basically enforce workmanship. So if the contractor comes up with the wrong design, you call 3 contractors up. One says, well, you need piers on this side. The other one says, no, you need piers on this side. And the other one says, no, you need piers all the way around. I mean, how's a homeowner supposed to know who's right? They don't have a clue, and probably all 3 of them are wrong, to be honest with you. And so then, you choose one and you put in the design, and
but don't you hire an architect to, doesn't the architect know this stuff?
You should hire a forensic geotechnical engineer is what you should do, but most people don't.
But what do you mean? So hire a forensic engineer along with the architect?
You don't need an architect. They're not going to.
So hire the forensic engineer as your architect is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. They should be in charge of the project. So what happens is, the foundation repair company puts in the idea that the salesman thinks is the right thing, which most of the time they don't really have a clue. And 5 years later, it's not performing. So they call up or a year.
When you
later,
say not performing, what do you mean? Like what's not performing?
So you're still getting cracks. You're still having problems.
Oh, guys, it's not working. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And you call up the contractor board and they say, well, were the piers installed in a workmanlike manner? It's kind of hard to tell. They're down the ground buried, but yeah, I don't know, I guess. Well, that's the only thing we can do. And if they put the piers in the wrong spot, we can't help that. That's a design issue, and we don't regulate design.
Yeah, but Bob, if it were so bad out there, if this were such an issue, right? Like, wouldn't buildings be falling down, more often than they do? I mean, I don't know.
Let me address that. So these problems are almost never structural deficiencies. This is part of the whole thing that needs to be exposed. These are what they call serviceability problems. Cracks that are annoying. They prevent the house from performing, optimally. Maybe the doors don't work very good, or the windows don't work very good, or the cracks let the bugs in, or whatever.
So it's not like someone's going to die in this house
that was ready to fall down.
Yeah. Like, is it rare that the soil is so bad or that there's such an issue where it's going to cause the house or the building or whatever to fall down? Is that a rare thing? Or are these buildings too new that like, how long would that take? How long would it take for, a building to fall down
or something?
How many, say?
Like maybe 200,
Got it.
I mean, it's going to be very rare. In all my years, I saw the 2 worst houses I ever saw were out of level by 12 inches. And it was pretty tore up, but engineers had meetings inside of them for several hours. They weren't worried about the house falling down on them.
Got it. Like, it wasn't like that. Yeah, it wasn't like that. I mean, what about the house? So not the house, the building, the building in Surfside in Florida.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why did that building collapse?
That wasn't a soil problem. That was a pool.
Corrosion, wasn't it?
Yeah, leaking onto the rebar of the concrete. And
say it again. It was the pool? It was the swimming pool?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Is that what it was? So the swimming pool in the building was doing what?
Yeah, it was leaking. because it wasn't on the bottom floor. It was up higher, and so what was beneath it was getting that chlorinated water, which chlorine water really attacks steel aggressively, and the steel was, and there were some design problems as well. It wasn't designed maybe optimally, but the corrosion was the problem.
Wow. I've got a situation now. I'm selling a condo in Brooklyn, and the small building, 8 units, and they have balconies. And from the top balcony, I have 2 balconies in this apartment that we're selling. And the one balcony, you see, like, it's got a glass, you can see water coming down the glass, and then the tile on the balcony is a little affected. You could see, like, I think the water, we had an inspection the other day, and the water is getting into the railing.
Yeah.
And so, the inspector was telling me, look, they caught it in time. There's no rust. So, I mean, they can fix this.
Well,
and they are.
Yeah,
What's that?
True.
Yeah. So, but he was saying, worst case scenario, it affects the steel of the building or all.
Right.
So something like that. I mean, obviously something like that is a little different because you're affecting the building, but so it's not really an issue of, hey, the building's going to collapse, right? We're not so worried. It's more about getting the most out of the structure, right? Getting it to work at its
performance. It's called
optimal performance.
And these salesmen who are, when you have these cracks, you have questions, right? Like, what does it mean? How bad is it? What do I do about it? What if I do nothing? And so you want to get good advice, right? And so you're calling up a commission salesman whose job is to sell you stuff. How unbiased do you think that opinion is?
Yeah,
they're gonna kind of hedge around.
I mean, anytime someone's working on commission and trying to, like, convince me to do something, I'm like, really, how can I take you seriously?
Yeah.
It's like the Bloomingdale's, salesperson, right? Yeah, the jacket looks great on you. Yeah.
Well, and see, that's the problem. These guys, their job is to sell. And so, when you ask them, well, how bad is it? They're going to go, well, Mr. Jones, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say you're an 8.5. And, I hear that kind of language and I think, well, first of all, what scale is that? I've never heard of a 1 to 10 scale for foundation repair. What is that? The Richter scale of foundation repair? What is that? And then the second thing I think of is well, how did you arrive at 8.5? And the answer inevitably is something like, oh, well, based on my years of experience and all the houses I've seen, and the fact that my kids need braces,
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally subjective BS.
So now what you were saying before, right, and I keep forgetting the title. So instead of hiring an architect, we should hire who again?
Forensic geotechnical engineer.
Okay, so a forensic geotechnical engineer. So now I'm just curious. Let's say I'm building a 10-unit building. We'll bring it into New York City development here. So a 10-unit building now. I should hire this forensic geo.
Well, in that case, you don't need a forensic engineer. Well, you need a structural engineer, and the structural engineer wants to know how good is the soil. What kind of bearing capacity does the soil have? So
what do they do? They do a boring test? Is that what they do?
Right. So they'll bring out just a regular geotechnical engineer who will do borings and, measure the characteristics of the soil, blah, blah, blah. And they will put out information that the structural engineer can use to design a safe and secure building. So that process is a little different.
So that structural engineer will know all this, will have all this, but a regular architect does not have this information. They're not familiar with that stuff.
I mean, unless they're a forensic architect and they specialize in this, they probably won't.
And then, so if I'm hiring the specialist as opposed to the architect to handle everything, how much more is it costing me more money? Is it roughly the same? It is costing more.
Yeah, because, the foundation repair companies are going to give you their analysis, which is nothing but a sales pitch for free. So you're going to have to pay, an engineer, but you're going to make that money back many times over before the project's done. I mean, you might even
how so? Like how would you make it? How would you make it back? Like where?
Well, first of all, you might not even need to do anything. you might just have to fix your drainage and grading, and that might be really cheap, as opposed to spending $80,000 for a bunch of piles and piers, right? Or now let's just play it through.
Well, I don't understand. Aren't you spending that money regardless or no?
Well, no, not typically, because if you call a foundation repair contractor, they don't even talk about grading and drainage. All they're gonna want to do is put in piers for $80,000 and be done with it.
Got it. So they're gonna basically give you a cure to a disease you don't have.
Right. I mean, they're gonna sell what they sell. They're not gonna sell.
But no one's gonna catch that. Like your architect isn't gonna catch that. No one can catch that.
I mean, no, architects don't really understand this area very well. And, I have a degree in architecture. You think I would know? If I didn't own an engineering company, I would have never known.
I will say it's pretty funny. I do have to say this, right? Because I've met a lot of architects, and the architects I've met are, they're interesting characters, but they're also like, I'm an architect, right? But you're like, I've never met, you're like looking at architects kind of like, you're just an architect. Like, I'm an architect too. It's like an architect, and then you're like a special architect. It's like you're higher than architect.
Well, I don't know. It's just different. It's a different area of specialty. You need somebody that knows about soils. That's really what you need.
That's like a specialist.
Problems. And so, you want to get somebody that, like, a lot of times people call a structural engineer. Well, that's not really the right guy. Why not? Well, because the structural engineer will come to the house and say, well, yeah, you've got some cracks, but it's not structurally deficient. Okay, see you later.
Yeah.
Like, well, could it get worse? Oh, yeah. If the house keeps moving, it could get worse. It could be a problem. Well, is it going to keep moving? Well, you need a geotech for that. Thanks.
I love it. So let's keep going here, because I kind of, we have a lot of ground to cover and only so much time. So I want to go into, you said you were writing, well, first of all, you said you had invented a few things. So, talk to me about, whatever. I said your biggest invention, but I'm just curious, like, what did you invent? When? How does that work? I mean, it sounds interesting.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I invented and developed over the years is some software that helps engineers and inspectors evaluate a foundation performance. And then I've developed some 3D printed carbon fiber products that have no metal exposed to the concrete that will solve the corrosion problems in concrete stem walls. And then I've got a system that removes the moisture from expansive clays under a foundation.
Bob, you paid attention in school, didn't you? It's like, oh, I sure did. No, I mean, like when it's like I hear when you when you just spoke right there, because I could never do that. I'm not that person at all, and I'm just in awe, right? Because I'm like, oh God, this, like, Bob is smart. Bob is like so smart, but like we're different smart. I'm like people smart, but you're like, I mean, you like this is like. I mean, this is anyway. Keep going. I'm sorry. I had to say it because I'm like, oh my God.
One of my coolest inventions is called a needle pile, and it basically, you could drill a 2-inch hole in concrete and screw this product in and lift up a floor with it. Pretty cool.
Wait, say that again, because I'm like, say that again.
So you can core a 2-inch hole in the concrete slab.
Okay.
Screw this product down into the ground and use it to raise the slab if the slab is sunken.
That's wild. And like, so who, like, I mean, people must be using that left and right now. That sounds like, I mean,
no, nobody's using it yet. I'm still working out the kinks to it.
Okay, so it's not like on the market yet. You're working on it. You're working on it. Yep. But it doesn't exist. Something like that does not exist right now.
Nothing like that. No.
Nothing like that at all. So when you say you're working on it, like how far? What is it? A prototype? You build a prototype on something like that? So it's like a machine.
And we're testing it and that kind of stuff.
Got it. Wow. Where do you do that? You do that locally? Yeah. Like what do you go to a warehouse or something? What do you have, like
I own lots of properties, so I can, I have industrial properties. I can find some place to go test it.
Like you got a spot. What kind of properties do you own?
Well, I have 9 single-family homes and 3 industrial properties.
So the 9 single family, they're all local. Where in Arizona are you?
Phoenix.
You're in Phoenix. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 9 houses in all within Phoenix. They're
Yeah.
all like fully. You don't have attached homes in Phoenix, right? Everything's fully
No, they're all
attached,
single family.
detached, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So single family homes. Um, that's cool. So you buy them and then you rent them to local families or
Yep.
whomever.
Yep.
They have pools and stuff, or what
Some
kind
of
of?
them do.
Some
I
of them do.
hate pools. I prefer not to have them. They're a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
But 2 of my 9 houses have pools.
Got it. So you gotta. Who pays for the pool upkeep and the leases out
Um,
there?
the tenant pays for the upkeep, but when there's problems, I get to fix.
Got it. Yeah. But they pay for the weekly cleaning or whatever, or the biweekly cleaning. So you got 9, and then you said what are your commercial properties?
Right,
You own like
industrial.
warehouses,
Yeah. Well,
and those are all industrial warehouses, or?
they're like contractor yards. Contractors work out of them.
Got it. Including yourself. You have like,
Not anymore.
yeah,
I sold my business and retired. I don't have any. I just do experimentation and fun little things. I don't need an office in the yard.
just random. I mean, I could see you're like you can keep yourself busy for sure. I mean, you're coming up with patents for for like I don't even know what it is. That just shows you me like, right. I'm a real estate broker. Like I know like the other end, the total. We are on opposite ends of the business. So you have the 9 houses. What is your goal? Well, you wrote some books, right? You also are an author. How many books have you written?
I self-published a book about, well, I don't know, 10 years ago. I published a book by Advantage Forbes about,
Self-published a book. Like, what does that mean? You like wrote the book and then
and I just printed it up myself.
just printed it. Like, how many copies did you print? You don't even know.
I'm sure 50,000.
Like 50,000, and then how did you sell them to bookstore? Like, how'd you
No,
sell 'em?
I basically, that's back when I owned my foundation repair business. So it was basically an education tool for homeowners.
Got it. So you were like giving them to people and so forth. I'd love a copy, by the way, but
Well,
glad to pay for it too.
Well, you can easily find my book on Amazon. My latest
Cool.
book called Foundation Repair Secrets, and you can find my website with the same name.
The same thing. Yep.
Yep.
And you said it's RK Bob Brown because Bob Brown is
Right.
BB.
Yeah, because there's too many Bob Browns in the world. Everybody knows one.
Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. So that's one. So you self-published one, and then you wrote another one, and you said that was published by someone else. Published that.
Yeah, Advantage Forbes. And
Yeah.
now I'm
Are
coming
they
up-
about different things? What are the book? Are the books like? What are they about? Are they all about foundation, or is it like?
Well, the first book was basically detailing, educating people on expansive soils and how they work, heave versus settlement. The second book went into more detail, explained why this is the case. The book that I'm just getting ready to publish here pretty soon is going to be published by the American Society of Civil Engineers. And it's going to be discussing basically a standard of care for forensic engineers on how to conduct a performance evaluation.
So I mean, so your book's really. I mean, it's not for me, right? Your book is for like engineers, right? Your book is
Third
for
one is.
architects, engineers.
The
What's
third
that?
one is this, the first 2 are more for the consumer.
For like homeowners to learn more about. I don't. Honestly, what I think is funny. I mean, I can only speak for myself. Like, I do not want to know about foundations. Like, that's why you're here, Bob. Okay, like I've got Bob. I don't want to know about foundations. Like, God, no. It's
The
a
problem is people are being taken advantage of because the industry is rife with misinformation.
wow. So how do you get it out there to let people know this? Because people don't know this. No way would
right.
people know this. They're going to say, "What do I do?"
Yeah, and it's why I wrote books, and it's why I have a blog. You know,
Yeah.
I'm actually Some states are starting to change the rules and what's required in a permit. Right now, somebody goes to pull a permit. Here's one of the little lies that these foundation repair sales tell people. They say, oh, don't worry. When we pull the permit, our engineer's going to check everything because the city requires an engineer stamp to pull permits. So our engineer's going to check over everything and make sure it's right. Not
They don't check it.
true. And if that engineer opined on the data that was gathered by a salesperson, he could lose his engineering license. He cannot do it, period. And the only way he can opine and make recommendations is if he gathers the data himself or a bona fide employee of his gathers the data. That's it. And so, and when you go to pull permits, the city doesn't check what the cause of the problem is. You know what they're looking for? This blows my mind. The only thing the city is looking for on the permits is a spacing calculation between piers. They want to make sure it's not too far apart so it'll droop between them. That's the only thing they check. The only thing. You could have the piers on the wrong side of the house. You could have too many.
When you say they, who's they? When like the city?
Yeah, the city and county.
Yeah, as far as safety and so forth.
Check
Yeah.
any of this stuff. You may not even need piers at all.
Yeah.
And they don't check for any of that. I can tell you example after example, horrible things happening. The city passes the permit and it's the totally wrong plan. Doesn't do any good whatsoever.
So essentially, do you think you'd save money by hiring a special, like someone that could, when you said it would cost more, right? Because you're paying for that specialist, but it might cost less because
that's right.
It's going to avoid you from having to do all this extra unnecessary work.
I'll tell you another way that you're going to save money. So right now, when you hire 3 contractors and you get 3 different plans and you're trying to figure out which one's the real plan, right? Well, in the industry, they call it removing price as a barrier. And the way they do that is they go, oh, well, Mr. Jones, we're smart. The other 2 guys are stupid. Our plan is right. And here's why our plan is right. And so the one with the most convincing information gets to sell the job. And it may not be the right fix at all because he's not an engineer. He doesn't know. And so he gets to jack up his price per pier because he's removed price as a barrier. Now, let's just take it the other way. Let's suppose you have a forensic engineer who says, okay, you need 3 piers. 1, 2, 3 in these locations. Go get 3 bids for these 3 piers. Now, what happens? The contractor says, ooh, I can't dazzle him with my bullshit anymore, so I guess I'm going to have to sharpen my pencil because I'm competing against 2 other guys who are going to be doing the same thing. I better get my price down there a little bit if I want to win this job, right? You're going to save almost the entire or maybe more of what you spent on the engineer. You're going to save with the bidding process of doing it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So let me ask you something. What with the 9? I want to go back to the 9 houses because you have the 9 houses. Do you ever buy and sell any of them, or you've had them a long time? You just basically buy and hold kind of a thing?
It's mostly a buy and hold kind of thing. I'm a busy guy. I don't have time to, do a lot of monkeying around.
You manage them yourself?
Yeah. I had a management company managing them, and they were harder to manage than the tenants. They never returned phone calls, never returned emails. They were lazy. They were terrible, incompetent.
Yeah. Management companies are tough,
myself, shit, I can do this better than they can, and for less time than I'm spending trying to get a hold of these guys. I mean, they always put in crappy tenants, I treat it like an employee. When I get a tenant in my house, I don't necessarily try to get the top dollar. I want to get the right tenant.
You want the right tenant,
my property, because I make my money through appreciation, not through cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point because a lot of people, when you try for top dollar, as far as rent, you might get it, but it's a smaller pool of renters, so
right.
You're going to have less of a choice.
So, for instance, I'll go out in their car and look at what their car looks like. If their car is a total wreck, I'm not going to rent to that renter. No way. because that's what my
No.
house is going to look like. No way, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm very picky about who I choose as a renter.
Are these luxury homes, or like what kind of homes are they?
They're average homes.
Yeah, like 3-bed ranch or something, like single,
Yeah,
like, yeah. So like one floor, maybe
yeah,
2,000 square feet, something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very nice. And like, how far do you live from these houses?
Well, most of them I live really close. I
Yeah.
have two that are on the other side of town, but I've had the same renter in them for 10 years, so I don't have to do much.
Have you had any foundation issues in the
I
houses
did.
that you
I
own?
did
You
on
did,
one of them.
really?
Yeah, I bought this house sight unseen. It was like a groovy deal or whatever, and there was a hoarder that lived in there, and when I bought it,
God. Like, how much
she
was the house? I'm just curious. What'd you pay for it?
oh man, I'm trying to remember. I think I bought it for like $270,000. This was a lot of years ago,
Yeah,
and it's a 1 acre property. It's a nice property,
yeah.
and it's a pretty big house too, and but she either got divorced or her husband died or whatever, and she couldn't qualify for a new mortgage. So she wanted she had equity in the house. So when she sold it, she paid 3 years of rent in advance as part of the equity, as part of the deal. So I had to put up with her for 3 years as a renter, and after 3 years, I knew she couldn't handle it. So after 3 years of owning this house, I went to look at it, and it got cracks all over the house, everywhere,
God.
settling big time. So look, good thing I'm in the foundation repair business. I went out there and peered it all up, and actually I got insurance to pay for it, which is very rare.
Wow.
I had plumbing leaks, and I knew the right engineers, and we got it through the system. And my insurance company was Auto Owners. They were a great company, and they
Like,
paid.
how much money did you have to spend on that house to fix it? Do you remember?
Oh,
Roughly.
to fix the foundation is probably about 20 grand.
Yeah. I mean, it's not chump change, but it sounds reasonable considering, I mean, it sounds real. I mean, you got your insurance to pay for it, but it sounds pretty reasonable,
Yeah.
you know? So let me ask you, I mean, because we're running out of time. What's next for you? Like, tell me the future. What does the future hold for you?
Well, my overriding goal in life is to be an advocate for homeowners and property owners, to help them not get ripped off. And, all these other little things, the software and the gadgets and all, that's fine. It's
Yeah,
fun.
those are hobbies.
Take care of it, but really my main goal is to help educate and advocate for property owners and homeowners so that they don't get taken advantage of, because most of the time they don't even know it. They'll spend $80,000 thinking they're doing the right
Yeah.
thing, and they really didn't need to spend
And
80.
it's
They'll go
unnecessary.
through their whole life thinking that they did the right thing, and they'll never know any better.
100%. Like, you got to be advised well, especially in real estate. It's your biggest investment that you're ever going to make, right? So you should have people that know what they're doing. And you definitely sound like you know what you're doing. And I want to thank you. And I'll put your information in the podcast. So if anyone wants to find you, they can. Hopefully it helps. And hopefully people find you who need you. And I'm sure you'll get your word out, and only good things, only foundations that are strong, because life is all about a solid foundation, right?
Yeah, or the solid dirt underneath the foundation.
The solid dirt. Well, we can't do anything about the dirt, really, can we? I mean, well, I'm sure we can, but
Yeah.
yeah, but essentially, dirt is dirt. I don't know. That's how I always looked at it. But again, Bob, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I think this was a great show. I certainly myself learned a lot about foundations and so forth, and I appreciate it. And
Absolutely. Had a great time.
yeah, love it. And best to you and the properties and all that good stuff. And we'll keep in touch for sure. I know we will. And I wish you the best.
All right,
All the
you
best
bet.
of luck. And I'll check out your book, even though I hate to read, but I will.
It's pretty easy reading.
It is easy read. Can I just upload it in a chat GPT and she'll tell me what?
Illustrations and stuff. Yeah, it'll go quickly for you.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'll check it out. Oh, there's my song again. So I want to thank Mr. Bob Brown for coming on the show this week, teaching us all about foundations. I am Jonathan Tager, and I'm signing off. This was a lovely episode of JT Unfiltered, and we will see you next week, same time, same day. Have a good week, good weekend. Bye, guys.